Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this great event. What a great turnout. My name is Bruce Karasik, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Jewish Republican Alliance. And we're so happy to have all of you here tonight. Thank you for being here. And we're so happy to have gubernatorial candidate John Cox with us tonight. If you look in the back, Bob Allen and KDY-TV has offered to film the event. So thank you very much, Bob, for doing that. And he'll be back for Dennis Prager on October 11th. The Jewish Republican Alliance always likes to honor our veterans. Are there any veterans in the room? Stand up, please. Thank you for your service. Thank you. We have a special treat for you tonight. Earlier this year, Mitch and I went to an event in Beverly Hills, the Friends of the Israeli Defense Forces. And when we were there, we heard an amazing singer, and her name is Alicia Pierce. And she is the cantor at Beverly Hills Temple of the Arts. So when I called Alicia and asked her if she would sing our national anthem tonight, she said yes right away, and for that, we are very grateful to you. At all of our Jewish Republican Alliance events, we always say that we want to take a stand for America and Israel. And tonight and now, I want you all to stand. As everyone please stand as cantor Alicia Pierce will sing our national anthem and will also honor Israel with the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof ציון ירושלים להיות עמך ארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים.
Is she amazing or what? So, after the presidential election in 2016, our friend Hillary Clinton mentioned one of the reasons that she lost. One of the reasons. One reason was that all the Republican men were they told their wives and their girlfriends to vote the way they wanted them to vote. Now I look into this audience here, and I see smart, independent, strong women are here that voted the way they would. And so when I heard Hillary say that, it reminded me of a story of an old Jewish man talking to a young man right before he was going to get married. And the old man said, "I've been married for 60 years. And from the beginning we agreed that I would make all the major decisions. And my wife, she would make all the minor decisions. And thank God after 60 years, Hashem, we've never had to make a major decision." So there are a couple of strong, wonderful women here tonight that I'd like to also acknowledge. A special thank you to my wife, Judy Karasik. She's done so much for JRA. Thank you. I'm not heard there would be no JRA. And a special thank you to Mitch's wife, Stephanie Silberman, for her tremendous service and dedication to JRA. Thank you. Also in attendance, I'm proud to say that my kids, Joshua and Alexandra, are here, 16 conservatives. And my daughter, Tracy, she would be here, but she just landed in Israel yesterday on a great trip. On behalf of our JRA family, I sincerely want to thank all of our sponsors, our amazing volunteers. Where are you? Thank you. Give them all a hand, please. For your generous support. And a very special thank you to Mr. Barry Wolf for being so generous and sponsoring us here tonight. Thank you, Barry. There's some other good friends in the audience here today. I'm not sure if I see him, but he said he was coming. Is Mr. Larry Greenfield here? No, he's not here. Okay, well, he was supposed to be here. He's not. But writer and activist Susan Shelley is here. We are graced to have the president of the American Freedom Alliance, Dr. Karen Segerman, is here today. San Fernando Valley community leader Mark Whitauer. Where's Mark? And Howard Weisenfeld. Are you here, Howard? No, it's not. To those of you who say that there's very little difference between Democrats and Republicans, and I'm just going to sit out this election because my candidate's just not perfect, I would ask you to rethink that, because the decisions that we have to make have never been clearer. One side wants to cut your taxes and put more income in your pocket. The other side calls it crumbs, and they want to raise your taxes and take back their crumbs. One side says that, friend and foe alike, we will stand up for the interests of America all over the world. The other side says, don't make our enemies or our friends feel uncomfortable. The status quo is just fine. One side is standing up for Israel, our closest friend and ally in the Middle East. And our President Trump, had the courage to move our embassy to Jerusalem and take a stand for Israel. While the other side wants to boycott, divest, sanction, and call us occupiers. One side believes in the value in the American tradition of free speech, even if we disagree with you. The other side wants to shut down free speech and indoctrinate our kids rather than educate them. One side is fighting a cultural civil war with ideas. The other side is fighting with violence and assaulting people they disagree with on the street. One side wants only legal immigration and regulate those who come into our country. The other side wants open borders and destroy the very fabric of America. One side believes in capitalism and that it creates wealth. The other side believes that socialism is the answer. One side is providing a booming economy with record low unemployment. The other side gave us cash for clunkers, malaise, Obamacare, and job-killing regulations. So we have a GDP of 4.1%. America's unemployment rate is at 3.9%, the lowest in 45 years. The number of Americans employed in July, 156 million, the highest number in our history. Over 400,000 new manufacturing jobs. Black unemployment at the lowest in our nation history. Hispanic and Asian unemployment lowest in history. American women unemployed lowest in our history. 65 years here. Lowest unemployment of America's war veterans. More jobs available than workers to fill them. 3.5 million people fewer on food stamps. Corporate wages are up. Individual wages are up. They're bringing home remains from South Korea and North Korea. We have judges being appointed to the Supreme Court. And we're building up our military to keep us safe. But the Democrats have one piece of legislation in California they're very proud of: the banning of the plastic straw. Those being caught for a second time with a plastic straw will serve a maximum of 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. So I'm thinking they kind of boxed themselves into a corner, because can you imagine if they caught an illegal alien with a plastic straw in a sanctuary city? What would they do? They wouldn't know what to do. The Jewish Republican Alliance was founded in March of 2016. We're on the move. How many of you have heard of the walk away movement? Isn't that cool? Stephanie told us about that. And we just want to say one thing. When they walk away, we have a home for them to walk to, and that's the Jewish Republican Alliance. I'm just going to say one more thing. President Trump tweeted the other day about John Cox. He said, "I'm hearing so many great things about the Republican Party's California gubernatorial candidate, John Cox. He's a very successful businessman who is tired of high taxes and crime, and he will make California great again and make it more of a great state again. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mitch Silverman, the co-founder of the Jewish Republic Alliance and my good friend. Thank you, Mitch. I'll go for hand, wouldn't you?
Jacob, who was a real town dweller, drove his car right into a ditch while out on the country roads. Luckily, a local farmer was passing by with his big, strong donkey named Dobbin. He hitched Dobbin up to the car and shouted loudly, "Pull, Dolly, pull." Dobbin didn't move 1 inch. Then the farmer yelled, "Pull, Robbie, pull." But Dobbin failed to respond. Once more, the farmer commanded in a stern voice, "Pull, Ringo, pull." Again, nothing. Then the farmer nonchalantly and quietly muttered, "Pull, Dobbin, pull." And immediately the donkey easily dragged the car out of the ditch. Jacob was very appreciative but very curious. He asked the farmer, "Why did you call the donkey a different name 3 different times?" The farmer replied, "Dobbin is blind, and if he thought he was the only one pulling, he wouldn't even try." Well, look around. You are not the only one pulling, even in the People's Republic of California. And so it began in March of 2016 when 18 of us met in a private room of a Beverly Hills restaurant to share how easy it is to be a Jewish Republican in California. Now, I know what you're thinking. With so many Jewish Republicans in California, how come only 18 showed up? We thought, what the heck, let's meet again next month. But this time, our alliance doubled. As our journey continued, we began to attract fellow conservatives from as far south as Orange County, all the way up to Channel Islands. Some 2.5 years later, the Jewish Republican Alliance continues a movement that unifies and energizes conservatives to take action on behalf of America and Israel. Now more than ever, with so much at stake, you need to get involved. You need to do your part to help preserve the Judeo-Christian values upon which this great country was founded. I want to acknowledge you for being here tonight. It matters not your religion nor your political affiliation, only that you are passionate enough to be here. My name is Mitch Silverman, co-founder of the Jewish Republican Alliance. I encourage you to get involved and join tonight. Thank you. I have the pleasure to bring up my friend, Bruce Bialowski. He's going to introduce our keynote speaker. For decades, Bruce has been and continues to be a very influential Jewish Republican. He writes a widely syndicated weekly column for Town Hall Daily, and by day he's a CPA. Please give a warm welcome to Bruce Bialowski.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. First, I'd like to take a moment to make a comment about the 2 gentlemen you just listened to. It takes a tremendous amount of commitment and energy to get a political group started from scratch, particularly when you're talking about Jewish Republicans in Los Angeles. Louder? So, I think we should take a moment and thank these 2 people who have spent so much of their personal energy and resources to get this group together and get us all here tonight. Mitch and Bruce, thank you. office about a year and a half ago, and phone rings. Take the phone. Hi, I'm John Cox, and I'm running for governor. Okay. Said, I would like to meet with you. Okay. So, about a week later, Cox shows up in my office. He sits down. I say to him, what do you want here, Cox? And he takes a moment, and then he starts going like this. And I say to him, show off. Is that all you got, Cox? Then, for the next hour, he told me what he had and what he wants to do to bring back the state of California to a state of sanity. And he told that to the people of California in the primary, and he's now here ready for the general election. And he wants to be the next governor of the state of California, Mr. John Cox.
Isn't he a warm guy, huh? Mr. Warm, Mr. Warm, no question about it. Well, you know, Bruce, I am John Cox, and I will be your next governor. And you know, it's not about me, it's about every single one of you. It's about your children. It's about everybody that's out there in California right now, the forgotten Californians who are laboring under the miserable conditions created by the politicians in Sacramento. We are going to change that, and we are going to win this governorship in 2018. I don't know about you, but I'm energized. Caffeinated, that's what it is. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. You know, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not a career politician like my opponent. I'm a working guy like all of you. And I want to tell you a little bit about my background and about what's in my heart and why I'm interested in taking on this task. Because, you know, this isn't the easiest thing in the world. Now, people always ask me, John, why are you doing this? And I said, well, you know, they still climb Mount Everest, don't they? It's a challenge. It's the challenge. It's because it's there. But, you know, it all goes back to my mother, God bless her. My mother, by the way, was Jewish. I wasn't raised Jewish, but my mother was Jewish. And she always talked to me about the spirit of public service, because that is the essence of our life here on earth, is to help other people. And my mom lived it. My mom got 2 master's degrees from Berkeley, right up in Northern California here. She got her 2nd master's degree in Spanish literature and left. This is in the 40s. She went to Chile. A single woman in the 40s traveled to South America to teach illiterate children how to read and write. Well, she raised me to care about what happens to my community. I grew up liberal Democrat. My mom was a liberal Democrat. I grew up imitating John F. Kennedy, her hero and mine. He'd be a conservative Republican today, by the way. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And those are the words that I learned early on. But the reason that I'm involved in politics, though, is my mom taught high school on the south side of Chicago. I was born on the south side of Chicago. I always say I grew up in Barack Obama's district while he was surfing in Hawaii. got the better of it, I think. But I was literally born at the University of Chicago on the South Side, and my mom taught at an all-black school on the South Side. It was the same high school she attended in the 30s. She went back to teach in the 60s. And you know, her experiences there really seared in me a desire to do something about political corruption. Because she had to deal with some of the worst high school principals that she could ever imagine. And you know why? Because they were chosen mainly because they were friends of the alderman. It was all about political connections. And ladies and gentlemen, that in its purest form is political corruption. And those kids on the south side of Chicago, they started life with 2 strikes already against them, and they got a 3rd strike because they got dealt a substandard education, let's call it that. And that is a real problem. And you see it on the streets of Chicago every single weekend, don't you know? The murders, the shootings. Well, I moved to California. My mom retired to Fresno. Go figure. She found a bridge club that she liked. She was a life master twice over at bridge, by the way. Brilliant woman. And so I came out here and I discovered that California is even more corrupt than Illinois. Hard to believe, isn't it? Because, you know, 4 out of the last 8 Illinois governors have ended up in federal housing. You know that, right? As a matter of fact, if you ask an Illinois governor for his cell number, you're actually asking for his cell number. But that's why I'm running for governor, because the corruption has to end, and there's 2 Californias. There's the California that we have, and the California that we ought to have. And Bruce did a great job of talking about what President Trump has done for the country. We need to do that right here in California, don't we? Because you know what? This state used to be the shining city on the hill. Remember Reagan? Another guy that came from Illinois to save your bacon, right? And, you know, California had the best business climate, the best education, the best job opportunities, the best roads, the best schools, plentiful water, wonderfully affordable gasoline, electricity, and all the wonderful qualities of life that you want to have. And what do we have now? What do we have now? We lead the nation in poverty. That is sad, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? The Golden State leads the nation in poverty. Fully 1/4 of the homeless people in this country live in California. We have the highest taxes in the country. Our schools that we now spend almost $100 billion on are rated 47th in proficiency. You think we're getting our money's worth there? Our business climate is regularly voted 50 out of 50. I mean, we are the laughing stock of the country when it comes to business. Can you imagine some business guy in Des Moines or Kansas City saying, gee, let's move our business to California? They would call the psychiatrist right away. Well, you know, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it doesn't have to be this way. This is going to be a pivotal year. The people of California have had enough. You can only boil the frog long enough. We are going to turn around this state. Help is on the way. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make life affordable for people. We are going to repeal the gas tax that they have. This gas tax says all you need to know about the corrupt politicians and the corrupt political class in Sacramento. Because California spends twice what Texas does to build a mile of road. Let that sink in for a second. Twice what Texas does to build a mile of road. Yet instead of reforming Caltrans and building roads efficiently, they decided to stick their hand in our pocket and raise the gas tax, a regressive tax. that hurts the working poor, that hurts the people who need the help the most, we are going to repeal that gas tax on November 6th. We're also going to build houses. We're underhoused in this state by 3 million homes. We are going to build homes, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to build truly affordable housing. And that's not, my opponent wants to float more bonds and hand out more subsidies, basically institutionalizing high-cost housing. Well, you know what? I'm in the housing business. I started my businesses 40 years ago. I build and manage apartments in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. States that are reasonably well managed. Not like California. And I can build an apartment in Indiana. Thank you, Mike Pence, and their family. I can build an apartment in Indiana for $80,000 a door. What is that in California? $250,000 in Fresno. $500,000 in Los Angeles. $700,000 in the Bay Area. And you know what? The price of the land does make a difference. That's a little bit of it. But you know what? It's the regulations, it's the taxes, it's the litigation, it's the delay. When I'm the governor of the state, we will cut those regulations, cut the time period for approval, cut the taxes, and we will build truly affordable housing. And we're being told by Jerry Brown and his helpmate, Mr. Newsom, that we're going to have to live with less water. Did you know that the parting gift of Mr. Brown was to tell us that we're only going to have about 50 gallons of water, each one of us, a day? A day? And if you use more than that, it's a $1,000 fine. I call this the Ritz-Carlton Act of 2018. You know why? Because if you're going to pay $1,000 for a bath, you might as well get a nice room with it, too. Well, you know what? This is ridiculous. We are sitting next to the largest body of water in the world. You look at what Israel has done. Have you heard of a book? Newt Gingrich, my political godfather, my mentor. He endorsed me early on. Thank you very much, Newt Gingrich turned me on to this book, There Will Be Water by Seth Siegel. And Israel has turned a desert into an agricultural paradise. They're exporting water to Jordan and other allies that they have. We can do that in California. We also have to build storage. We also have to build recycling. We've got the money to do it. First thing I'm going to do is stop the train to nowhere and do it. And by the way, stopping the train to nowhere is the second thing I'm doing. The first thing I'm doing is stopping a sanctuary state. Let me just say, this is a real personal item I'm going to talk about now, and it hit today. I have 4 absolutely wonderful daughters. I am surrounded by women. As a matter of fact, I have 4 daughters, a wife, and 2 female granddaughters. I couldn't get a boy if my life depended on it. That's great. But you know what? I want to give a shout out to a gentleman today. I don't know his first name, but he lost a daughter, and Molly Tibbetts was found today. Murdered by an illegal alien, someone who was in this country illegally. And you know what? I don't believe that most of the people who came into this country illegally intend to murder people or rape. No, that's not what they're at. But you know what? One murder is too many. And now we've had Kate Steinle and Molly Tibbetts. We need to secure our border and get our new law enforcement to work. protect the people of their jurisdiction, of this state. And the idea that we're going to have government officials that aren't going to communicate with each other, that we're not going to allow law enforcement to communicate with federal authorities. You know, this is not about going into door to door and picking grandmothers out of their homes. I mean, this is not that. This is about getting criminals off our streets and out of our country if they're here illegally. And education. I would be remiss if I didn't mention education. Let me tell you, my opponent has sold his soul to the teachers' unions. And you know what? My mom was a proud teachers' union member. She was. And I am absolutely in favor of unions. Collective bargaining, I believe, is a right. But you know what? Political corruption isn't. And we have to have best practices. We have to have competition. We have to give every parent the choice of a good education for their children. And I got to tell you, I wasn't supposed to make this top two, remember, right? A whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of charter school advocates financed a pretty vicious campaign against me to try to get Villaraigosa in the top two so that he would be a counter to Newsom, right? Well, I disappointed them, but I'm not going to disappoint you. I am going to campaign for competition for charter schools and for paying teachers like true professionals, like rock stars and baseball players. You know as well as I do, the money that we have paid in taxes, a lot of it is not getting into the classroom. It's going to the administrators. It's going to forms being filled out. It's not going to the teachers in the schools and into the classroom. That's going to change when I'm the governor of this state. Well, how are we going to do this, ladies and gentlemen? We have got a hill to climb. You know, this state, has had its share of Democratic governors, but it's also had its share of Republican governors. You might not know this or might realize it. Jerry Brown is really the only Democrat who's been elected in the last 50 years. I don't count Gray Davis. He was recalled. But we've had a lot of great Republicans like Ronald Reagan and George Dubnigian and Pete Wilson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. He ran as a Republican, come on, and he tried. But you know what? But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that I'm going to change the legislature. You know, the legislature terminated the Terminator, didn't they? They stopped him. And we have to recognize that we have the best legislature money can buy, don't we? Think about it. And they're rated right below colonoscopies and cockroaches, right? Well, you know what? It's not really their fault. I believe that they truly, most of them anyway, truly intend on doing a good job. But they're caught in a system that requires them to be professional fundraisers, isn't it? It requires them to really sell their vote every single day, and that's got to end. We have got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of reforms to make, and we need a legislature that's going to do that, that's going to represent us and not the special interests. So how are we going to do this? Well, let me give you a statistic. You can tell all your friends, and we've got to get the independents and the Democrats on board with us. We really do. And you tell them that we have not had a Democrat follow another Democrat in 130 years. That's a true statistic, by the way, not since 1887. The people want change. That's what this election is going to be all about, ladies and gentlemen. Change versus the status quo. We can have affordable gasoline. We can have affordable housing. We can have ample water. We can have schools that teach our kids. We can have roads that aren't clogged and full of traffic. We can have all the great things that make up a great quality of life. My opponent is going to continue the fight against Washington, D.C. And you know what? I said it all on election night. don't know if you saw that, if you stayed up to watch it. President Trump didn't enact a gas tax. President Trump didn't create a housing crisis, a water crisis, schools that are 47th in the nation, fires that are threatening our state because we don't manage the forest. President Trump had nothing to do with that. Well, you know why Mr. Newsom's using that? Because he doesn't have an answer to these problems. I'm a business person. I built a business over 40 years, getting results, solving problems. I didn't have the luxury of blaming my customers for the problem. I didn't have the luxury of raising prices like they raise taxes. I had to actually use my resources efficiently. I had to produce a quality product. I had to provide good service. That's what we need from government. And it's long overdue in California. So that's my message to the forgotten Californians in this state. That's my message to every independent and Democrat. This is not about partisanship. This is not about a partisan advantage. This is about, it's not about me. It's about the future of our children. It's about a state that's affordable, livable, sustainable, and something we can be proud to pass to our children. That's why I'm involved in politics. That's why I'm a Republican, because I believe in people, not government. I believe in honesty. I believe in integrity, and that's a government that we deserve, we should expect. Join with me in this effort. Get out there. Get financial resources for us, please. Get on social media. Talk to your neighbors. Let's get people energized. Let's start the revolution. Let's revive California. Let's make this the Golden State once again.
For those of you out there that asked,
We have a few questions.
yeah, we have just a few. We cannot go through them all, but I very much appreciate you taking the time to write them out. So I'm going to go through a handful of them. I know we have a very full crowd and very eager. How long will it take to eliminate the gas tax?
One day. November 6th. Next question.
Love it, brevity. What can be done about needing an ID to vote?
Well, you know, I grew up in Chicago where the cemeteries vote. My first election, 1977, I worked for the only Republican alderman, Dennis Black, I'll never forget him, north side of Chicago. I went into the polling place right when it opened. And I was maybe, 19, 20 years old, or whatever I was at the time, scared to death. And I said, I want to, the big precinct captain's there, and he's watching all this. And I said, I want to see that machine. Remember the big voting machines that are about as big as a wall? Remember those? He pulled it away. There were already 200 votes on the machine. Oh, yeah. Our voting system, the integrity of our voting system is sacrosanct as far as I'm concerned. Now, I believe we need to have IDs. I mean, if you need an ID to get on an airplane, you should have an ID. And by the way, as long as I'm talking about IDs, have any of you been to the DMV lately? I have. I've been all over the state, if you've seen it. Says all you need to know, by the way, about mismanagement in government. We're dealing with 30-year-old computer systems at the DMV. And guess what our great legislators did? They refused an audit. Now, who refuses an audit? Somebody with something to hide, right? Well, that's not going to happen when I'm the governor of the state. We're going to have full transparency.
Some of your questions. Mr. Cox, what would be your plan to address the water crisis, the water shortage crisis?
Well, as I said, desalination is going to be part of it. It's going to be all the above. You know, still here in Los Angeles, we flush millions of gallons into the Pacific every single day. And water is dear. You know, we live in a coastal desert, don't we? I mean, if you look at the whole country, by the way, the whole country is literally swimming in water right now. Did you know that? Take a look at the Midwest and the East Coast. I mean, they have more water than they know what to do with. We obviously live in a coastal desert. This corner of the country has problems, obviously, with water. But we love to live here. Well, let's use our noggins a little bit. Let's use our intelligence. Let's make sure we recycle. Let's build a pipeline if we have to some other places to get water here. We can build a pipeline to take oil from Canada down to Louisiana. We can build pipelines to carry fresh water. It's all about cost. And, you know, we're paying a lot of money for our water the way it is. And like I said, let's end the bullet train and use some of that for desalination and recycling.
I found out Mr. Cox is a plane to catch, so we have only a few more questions. What about homelessness? Can you please address the program for homelessness?
You know, I'm glad that was asked because I didn't really cover it in great detail. You know, as I related about my mom was all about helping those that are less fortunate. You know, and we've done well, and that's wonderful, but there's people that have been left behind, and we need to make sure that we do what is compassionate for them. It is not compassionate to let people sleep on the streets. Can we all agree on that? And you know what? It's also hurting the enjoyment of life for the rest of us, isn't it? It's a health hazard as well. And it doesn't fix the problem. My opponent spent $1.5 billion in San Francisco in his 8 years as mayor there, and the problem got worse, not better. I'd have fired him. But he quit before he got fired. Or he got promoted to lieutenant governor. I'm not sure that's a promotion, is it? In any event, what we need to do is get people help. 3 issues. First of all, people who have just fallen down in their luck or lost their apartment, don't have a place to live. We got to make sure we build housing, affordable housing. I already talked about that, right? The second are people who are mentally ill. Mental illness is an illness. We have got to treat it, and we have got to have the resources to treat it. And the third is drug and alcohol abuse. I mean, let's face it, we are doing people no favors by allowing them to sit and shoot up. And like you said, Bruce, we're banning plastic straws, but hypodermic needles are just fine. This is a little bit backward, don't you think? What we need to do is get people cured, get them off the abuse of drugs and alcohol. That requires compassion. That requires, I'd like to see public-private partnerships that are involved in doing that. We have a lot of wonderful religious organizations that would love to help, as well as secular organizations that would love to help. Let's get results, and if we use public-private partnerships, guess what we can do? If somebody doesn't demonstrate results, we can fire them. Accountability.
Okay, last one, but don't leave. Even if Mr. Cox is a plane to catch, we're not done tonight. Given a heavily Democrat legislature, how will you work to accomplish anything? Was that Sacramento currently?
Well, I want you to look up something called the neighborhood legislature. Newt Gingrich has called this the best idea he's ever heard for fixing California. Now, I'm not talking about it during this campaign. I'm going to talk about it starting on November 7th. I'm going to get elected first. I'm going to be the business guy who fixes and turns around the state. But make no mistake about it, we have got to get a legislature that's going to represent us and not the special interests. Now, in the meantime, while I'm educating people about that, I'm going to have the line item veto, I'm going to have control of the executive branch, and I'm not going to hesitate to use ballot initiatives if I have to. But I'm going to travel all around the state and talk about policy, talk about helping people, talk about doing things with the best practices and an intelligent way. And that's the most important thing that we can do. And Mitch, that's the last question. I wanted to say, by the way, there's a few people here who are running for office themselves. They're going to be introduced here while I'm on my way out to catch my plane. I want to congratulate all of you who step into the arena, all of you who take the slings and arrows of politics. The reason that we do this is because we care. We care about our fellow men and women. We care about our veterans. We care about the people that are down in their luck. We care about the children, that they grow up strong and are able to have opportunity. We care about everybody. And we want a government that cares as well and is run with integrity, quality, efficiency, and with respect for everybody. That's why we're involved in politics, and my hat is off to every person who steps in the arena and does that. Thank you for allowing me to be here today, and let's go out and fix and change this day. Thank you.
Don't leave yet, everybody. We're not done yet. Don't leave. I want to invite onto the stage right now and recognize some people. Candidate for District 26 for Congress, Antonio Zabano, Jr. Candidate for Congress in District 30, Mark Reed. Candidate for State Assembly, District 44, Rhonda Baldwin Kennedy. Candidate for State Assembly, District 46, Roxanne Bedford High. Candidate for Thousand Oaks City Council, Tom Adams. Also candidate for Thousand Oaks City Council, Kevin McNamee. Candidate for Council Member District 62, Olivia Valentine. Candidate for Judge Seat 4, Alfred Coletta. And the political director for Congressman Steve Wright, District 25, Jacob Bliss. And for Congress in District 32, Joshua Scott. And now I want to invite Alicia Pierce to come up one more time.
Yeah, one more candidate for Congress in District 29, Benito Bernal.
Come on up. Now these people have stood up and they've put their name in the ring, and I'm so glad to have you see them on stage. We're going to do something we haven't done before. We're going to ask you all to stand up. And Alicia is going to lead us in God Bless America.
Please join me. God bless America.
many people enjoyed themselves tonight? Are you energized? That is great. We at the Jewish Republican Alliance want to invite you to join our journey. So if you would like to become a member of our organization, there will be a table outside. You can go to our website at jewishrepublicanalliance.org and unite and energize conservatives to take action on behalf of America and Israel. And somebody left their glasses. I don't know who it is. Thank you, everybody, and good night.